Did you debate yesterday?
Yes.
And? Okay.
So many bells.
So then let's do the verse 37. Just try and make sense of it. When taking rebirth, respiration, sense sources and mind do not arise merely from the body, independent of one's own kind. What is the syllogism? Give me the one with mind.
Take consciousness. Take the first moment of consciousness. It follows it. It is preceded by a previous moment of consciousness because it is consciousness. For example, this moment of consciousness.
That's the extrapolated syllogism, right? How would you literally form a syllogism from the verse?
Take the first moment of consciousness, it follows it is not produced independent of its own cause because they are consciousness. For example, consciousness.
Not its own cause. It will be more specifically, take the first moment of consciousness. It follows it does not arise merely from the body, independent of its own kind, because it is consciousness. For example, the consciousness of now. That's what we have to say, right? If you want to transform this into a syllogism. Have you figured this out?
Yeah, we had that whole one moment, many lives kind of thing.
Yeah. So the point is, if it is an effect, it follows it is. It does not arise merely from something else, independent of its own kind. Accept, right? Are all of you accepting this?
Sense source is not sure.
Sense source is not sure. Consciousness, sure.
Yeah, but regarding to our issue with the first moment, how do you ascertain the existence of the first moment?
That's your own problem. Sorry, that we can't get into very much right now. That's something that you need to figure out. Let's go with, does it have to be preceded by its own kind? If it is consciousness, it follows it has to be preceded by its own kind. Agree? 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 Let's see what will happen over here. There was some interesting Italian answers. Take someone who's fainted. It follows they have eye consciousness. I knew you'd say this. You still have eye consciousness when you've passed out, when you fainted. It follows it is consciousness in that moment. Because it's eye consciousness. It follows it is consciousness. It follows it is clear and knowing in that moment. Because it is consciousness. What's the definition of consciousness? It follows it is not clear and knowing in that moment. It follows it is not consciousness in that moment.
So even if
Just 4 responses. It follows there's no eye consciousness when you've passed out, when you fainted. Take the first moment of the eye consciousness when someone wakes up from having fainted. That one. It follows it is preceded by its own kind. It follows it is preceded by it follows it is not preceded by its own kind. Because it is preceded by something that is not of its own kind. It follows it is preceded by something that is not of its own kind because its direct cause is not of its own kind. It follows its direct causes of the same type. It follows the direct cause is eye consciousness. What is the direct cause? Take the previous moment of mental consciousness. It follows it is the same kind as eye consciousness. If it is a functional thing, it follows it is the same kind as eye consciousness.
If it is a functional thing.
Yes, for example, please say. Take a pot. It follows it is not the same kind as eye consciousness. It follows it is the same kind as eye consciousness because they're both functional things. No pervading. Take mental consciousness. It follows it is the same kind as eye consciousness. Why? Please say because they're both consciousness.
Because it expands it a bit.
What is it? It's the same kind. Why?
Because they belong to the same person and they're both consciousness.
Why? If two things are consciousness, do they have to be the same kind?
Yes.
If two things are both form, it follows they have to be of the same kind.
Why?
Because the reason is the same. What's the difference? What's the difference? That's the issue. Anyways, you understood the point, right? This is like the tricky thing. Okay, so that's one. So this is what essentially this verse, if you want to make sense of it, does it have to be preceded by its own kind? There is this thing that Henrik was saying yesterday, which you can consider when Panchen Rinpoche gives his definition of substantial cause. Oh, that's Mark. Mark joined class last night from Poland, from the airport. Okay, yeah? So Panchen Rinpoche's definition is interesting. So let's take it like this. A seed and a sprout are not the same type, correct? Let's assume they're not. A seed is the main producer of its substantial effect sprout as a continuum of its own type, as a continuation of its own type. Can you make sense of this definition?
Yeah, the continuum of type is what's throwing.
That's what's throwing everything off. But what does it? So that's why on this debate you need to know what continuum of type is.
Yeah.
Is it different from substantial continuum? And how do you verify two things whether they are the same continuum of type? So the standard example you've all heard. If you take a piece of gold, you melt it and you make it into a ring, and then you then melt it again and you make it into like an earring, and then you melt it again and you make it into, I don't know, a chain, whatever you want. That substantial continuum of gold carries on, but the continuum of type of ring ends when you melt it. That's the standard example. You've all heard this example a million times. But when you're talking about type over here, it's got an additional element of, there's some meaning that is being spoken of here, right? So with that, that's why I want to do this today. We'll try and incorporate indispensable cause with this, and we'll try and incorporate substantial cause with this, which are both definitions that the text gives us. So just look at the verse for substantial cause, for indispensable cause first.
That's 51, right?
I don't remember anymore. Is it? Yeah. The mind is always corollary to the previous mind, the presence of which aids the next moment of mind. Therefore, it is the unique indispensable cause. Yeah? That's one. Geshe-ma's translation was slightly different, if I'm not
You
wrong.
gave it slightly different. Yeah.
I mean, her way of explaining is 51, right? 51? I thanked Geshe-ma the other day when I met her, and she said she's redone it, and then her hard disk collapsed. So she's translated the whole text and revised it, but it's not there anymore. Here.
Do you know the page number?
So, yeah, you know how it breaks? So the first half, 228. Again, now she's put this stuff in square brackets, so you need to see whether that's applicable or not. Since the rays of a butter lamp always come after the flame of the butter lamp, just through the existence of a particular flame of the butter lamp contributes to the rays. Now take the butter lamp out. Since it always comes after that, just through the existence of that, just the existence of that contributes to the existence of it. That will be general, correct? So indispensable causes, that's the one. Is that okay? Yeah?
Did you say indispensable causes? I'm sorry.
51. Just read
No,
51.
The definition, you had another definition.
No,
for it.
the definition, no, we don't have any definition. We're just reading the text. It says in the text, verse 51 on page 229. 230.
There's so many
Yes.
subtexts to that translation which came up in debate so many times.
Which ones, like?
Like, for example, that then it has to be, because a flame is the only cause needed, it seems to say, like, then it has to be like it doesn't need anything else, and also that it has to be a direct, and all these things came up.
Yeah. And those are all things that should come up. Now, you've already done one round, Paolo, and you've already done one round of this. They haven't. But even when you do it now, some more stuff might come up.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that this is going to really be helpful for all of you. So the thing is, the Tibetan, it's actually very simple. It always follows that, and when it is there, it benefits that. That's literally it. Yeah? It all ta du je de jinju chir khanshi yebe phendo che, which is it always follows that, and when that is there, when it exists, it benefits that. That is the meaning of indispensable cause. Okay? Yeah?
It being the indispensable
No.
cause.
It being the
always
thing.
follows that being the.
So it always follows, sorry, my mistake, yes, my mistake. It always follows that, and because that exists, or when that exists, it benefits it.
When that is.
Yeah, so that is the indispensable cause over here. Got it? Okay? So that's one. The example over here is actually the flame, which is the translation that Gishama has done. Yeah? Is that okay? Then look at substantial cause, which was page number what? Or verse number? Here, 62. In the absence of changes in the substantial cause, no change would potentially ensue. That's it, okay? Then 63. In the absence of change in an object, if some other object changes, the former cannot be the substantial cause of the other. Yeah? You've got these two?
We're basically saying the same thing in two ways.
We're checking that. We need to see now whether all indispensable causes have to be substantial causes. You have the text? You have your computer, no?
My computer died.
Okay. So then later, just get the PDF, and then you can follow it if you want to. If you want to, I'm just saying, huh? Because otherwise you hear and then it might not be easy to follow along. Okay? That's what it says. Okay. Here. So now make sense of this. In the absence of change of an object, if some other object changes, the former cannot be the substantial cause. Therefore, the substantial cause has to be something that, when it changes, it results in a change in the effect. That's the definition of substantial cause? Yes? Yeah? Okay. So, now let's see this. Take the mental consciousness that you have said is the direct cause of the eye consciousness when someone wakes up from or is revived from fainting. It follows it is the substantial cause of that eye consciousness? Is substantial cause? It follows they are of the same substantial continuum? It follows that when there is the eye consciousness, the mental consciousness is no longer there? The continuum of the mental consciousness is still there?
It's still there.
Yeah? It follows the continuum of type of the mental consciousness is still there?
Agreed.
It follows the continuum of type of the mental consciousness is not still there?
Why?
Because the mental consciousness is no longer there.
Because the mental consciousness
Is no longer there. Take the mental consciousness. It follows it is still mental consciousness when it has turned into eye consciousness?
Agreed.
It follows it is both mental consciousness and sense consciousness?
Agreed.
It follows mental consciousness and sense consciousness are not contradictory? They are contradictory. So take that mental consciousness, that is the cause of the first moment of eye consciousness when you kind of wake up from having passed out. It follows it is not the substantial cause. It follows it is an indispensable cause. It follows it is not an indispensable cause. It follows it is an indispensable cause. Because whenever it is there, the eye consciousness is produced, and without it, the eye consciousness would not arise. It follows it is an indispensable cause. It follows it is also a substantial cause. Because whatever change is observed on that mental consciousness is the same change that is observed on the eye consciousness.
Reason understanding.
It follows the change that you observe on the mental consciousness is not observed on the eye consciousness. It follows that the mental consciousness contributes to the eye consciousness, benefits. It follows it produces the eye consciousness. Yeah, it's a cause. Yeah, right. It follows it produces the eye consciousness. It follows that it's not the substantial cause though. So what's the substantial cause? Oh wait. It follows that there is no direct substantial cause of this eye consciousness. It follows there is no direct substantial cause. It follows the substantial cause is the one way back before they passed out. That's the substantial cause. One sec. Take that consciousness before they passed out. It follows it is a functional thing. It follows it has an effect. It follows it has a substantial effect. What is the substantial effect of that eye consciousness of the last moment before you passed out? No, what's the substantial effect? The blackout? It follows it turns into a blackout. It follows that blackout is a functional thing. It follows then that blackout is the substantial cause of the next moment of blackout. And then the next moment and next moment and next moment. It follows the last moment of the blackout is the substantial cause of the first moment of eye consciousness. It follows that it has a substantial cause that is a direct cause. Take that last moment of blackout. It follows it is not the substantial cause of eye consciousness. Now with this one, in the absence of change, it follows that whatever change is observed on that blackout is observed on the eye consciousness. Yeah? But it follows the changes observed in the mental consciousness are not observed in the eye consciousness. What's the difference? Firstly, what are the changes that are just even more easy? If you take water that is added to a vase, it follows it is the substantial cause of the sprout. Because the changes in the water lead to changes in the sprout. What is the meaning of substantial cause here? Yeah, read. No, I'm reading. Carry on.
In the absence of change if there is no change in the substantial cause.
Make a syllogism of this. Take something, it follows it is not the substantial cause of something else because, and then give me a reason.
Okay. Take a seed, it follows it is a substantial cause of sprout because when there's a change in seed, there's a change in sprout.
But start with a negative because the verse gives it in a negative way, right? So take a potter, it follows they are not a substantial cause of vase because
a change in the potter does not impact a change in the vase.
In the
Does not create a
right?
change in the vase.
Right? So this here, in the absence of change in the potter, the pot can change or something like that. Correct? Therefore, for it to be a substantial cause, a change in the cause must be observed as a change in the effect. Therefore, take water that produces a sprout. It follows it is a substantial cause of sprout. Because a change in the water leads to observing a change in the sprout.
Reason not established.
It follows if you put clean water or you put dirty water, you put more water or less water, it's not observed, doesn't lead to a change in the sprout. Really?
Yes.
Do you have plants at home? So you should not say that. If you put like different kinds of water or you change the water, right, you do notice a change in the sprout or not. Or the fertilizer, let's go with the fertilizer, right? So if you put different fertilizer, that's why we have all these bio products, otherwise why would it even exist, right? So a change in the fertilizer, does it lead to a change in the sprout? Therefore, if there was no change in the fertilizer and there was still a change in the sprout, then the fertilizer would not be the substantial cause of sprout. But if there is change in the fertilizer and you notice a change in the sprout, it follows it fulfills the meaning of substantial cause of sprout. Because it says so. What does it mean? Read verse 62. In the substantial cause, right? Is that what is not a substantial cause? In the absence of change of something, right? In the absence of change of something, if no change is observed in the effect, it follows that that thing is a substantial cause?
It's not a substantial cause.
It's not a substantial cause?
Yeah, because the dirty water was added to the sprout, it did not change. Its quality was dirty water, it continued to be dirty water, and there was no change in that cause.
One sec. Was the change in the dirty water, did it lead to a change in the sprout?
There was no change in the dirty water, so the subject is quality.
One sec. There's no change in the dirty water.
Yeah, the dirty water was dirty even before you added.
No, that's fine. But when you add different kinds of water, do you notice a different kind of? Do you notice a change in the sprout? So does a change in the water lead to a change in the sprout? Is that sufficient for it to be a substantial cause? No. So then why is it saying over here? So then why is that consciousness not the substantial cause? The mental consciousness, not the substantial cause for eye consciousness?
Because it's not a continuation of its own substantial entity.
But where are you getting continuation from this? That's what we're trying to get. We're trying to understand how, from this verse here, the way Dharmakirti says it, do you end up with that has to be of the same entity? That's what is not clear, right?
With the example, isn't
The clay and the thing?
yeah, the visual clay.
Okay. Or? I think even in
Ox and non-ox, it's kind of
ox and non-ox is an example of change in one thing doesn't lead to observing it in another one, no? I think I'd even told you this because if you look at Gyaltsen Rinpoche's commentary, which is on here. Here. There's page 1, oh God, of the second one. Like, you know, the text breaks in between. Page 1, where it says 8th term on top. I told you this because it says this here. It says A, because without the transformation of the flame's nature, the substantial result, the nature of the rays of the flame would be unable to change. And 2, because, do you remember? The unique placing agent. We said this. We've done this technically. So this is where you need to get your meaning of transforming change. Okay? So take the mental consciousness. It follows it is a unique placing agent, whatever that means. Huh?
What does it mean?
Of the eye consciousness.
Yeah.
Why?
It follows it is not a unique placing agent. Take a sprout, a seed, it follows it as a unique placing agent of a sprout. It follows that you notice it as a unique placing agent. How?
Because it's the only thing that actually, the unique, the word unique,
Placing agent.
yeah. So it's the only agent, unique being the.
Why is it only agent? It's only agent.
Because it's the only thing that results in the formation of sprout.
Hey,
Transformation
take the
of
cooperative conditions. It follows they don't result in the formation of sprout.
Why?
It follows the unique placing agent.
Because it places the nature of what it's, the nature that it will transform into.
It follows it places the nature of what it will transform into. Agree? Take the mental consciousness. It follows it places the nature of what it will transform into.
Agreed?
Take the mental consciousness. It follows it is the substantial cause of that first moment of eye consciousness.
Oh, sorry. I thought it the next one.
No, that first moment of eye consciousness. It follows it is the unique placing agent of that eye consciousness
Why?
because it is the immediately preceding condition.
An observation.
Take the immediately preceding condition. It follows it places the mark of being clear and knowing on the eye consciousness
Why?
because it is the immediately preceding condition. What is the definition of immediately preceding condition of eye consciousness? You have it?
I think it is the, who is Dudra? The mental consciousness that precedes?
This is middle of
This is in the extensive presentation of cause and effect. Yeah.
it doesn't produce it as clear and knowing.
Right?
The final end of that.
It is that direct producer
Of an eye conscious seeing.
of an eye conscious
Seeing blue
as clear and knowing,
having the experience of clear.
of clear and knowing. Therefore, take the immediately preceding condition. It is that which creates the eye consciousness as having the nature of clear and knowing. Yes or no? What does the governing condition do?
The aspect.
No, that's the objective condition. Objective condition is having the aspect of blue. Objective governing condition? Uncommon governing condition. If you don't remember Duda and if you don't remember Tariq, then later on when these things come up, it becomes harder to debate them. So, what is it? I like how Kelsey's nodding her head that it becomes harder to debate them, but she's not finding the definition. Of eye consciousness perceiving blue. No, that is the illustration, but what is the definition? Definition. What is it? Pull it out. Just, I don't think it's deep in the recesses of your subconscious. I don't know how easily it'll come out. Shmul, you remember? Naga? You're exempt from this because we haven't done it yet, but otherwise we could even ask the Dudras to. It's Dudra. It comes in the middling path, there's contradictory, related and extensive presentation of cause and effect. And when we do that, then we do these three conditions for consciousness, for direct consciousness.
That which acts mainly and directly to produce independently a direct perceived referendum.
Yeah?
Independently.
Independently, right? Which is the I sense power, correct? Okay? So, which one of these is the substantial cause of eye consciousness? None of them, right? None of them are so then none of these place a mark on the eye sense consciousness? None of them place a mark? What is the meaning of placing a mark? Go from here, because then if you can get this, then I'll tell you why I'm saying this, because if you make sense of this, then unique placing agent, indispensable cause, has to be preceded by its own type, is produced as a continuum of its own type. Between the, and nature and essential nature and circumstantial nature, it primarily produces the essential nature. All of these things can finally start to not become the same thing, we're not saying that, but then you can start making sense of all of this, right? So you do the same verse, we have the same verse, we haven't even moved forward. But instead of just fixating on the verse with the definition of substantial cause that we have in Dudra, that you've become familiar with, you have now three definitions in Dudra. One is ours, one is the first Dalai Lama, which was that which between the essential nature and the circumstantial nature primarily benefits the essential nature. And Panchen Rinpoche's, which says that which produces the main producer of its substantial effect as a continuum of its own type. You have those three definitions, and then you have indispensable cause, which is if the cause is there, the effect is there, because the existence of the cause benefits the existence of the effect. And then you have if change is not observed in the cause, that effect doesn't observe a change. If you don't observe a change in the effect and you observe a change in the cause, then it's not a substantial cause. And then you have Gyaltsab Rinpoche's unique placing agent. So technically, this one verse can become laden with a lot more. So if you just incorporate all of this, your understanding can be clearer. Okay? And then, only then, so the thing is this. I don't know how many of us will be able to explain it. I think most of us will say, well, we've seen a time lapse of a seed turning into a sprout. Right? But if you don't see the entire causal process, the idea over here is if you're not seeing the causal process happening, then you see some things come together and then after a while you come in, you observe another effect. Now it's up to you to deduce what in that collection of causes was the unique placing agent for the effect, or what was the substantial cause of that effect and what were the cooperative conditions. That's up to us to figure out, right? So the idea over here is, why this is problematic is because if you had some sort of insight and you saw consciousness migrate from one life to another, go to Bhardo and all of that, if that were true, you wouldn't have to do these debates. The point is you're seeing the effect, right? And then you're trying to see, well, if there's this kind of effect, it cannot come from unrelated causes. Now, within the causes that are there, what are the ones that are indispensable? What are the ones that can turn into it? What are the ones that every now and then assist it but don't turn into it? That's what you're checking, right? Now you check this with other things that are easier, like sprouts, blah, 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 and use all the material that you have. So now you've got indispensable, substantial, unique placing agent, and all of that stuff. It's up to you to figure out, using all of this, how that first three syllogisms make sense. So take the first moment of sense powers. They cannot come from matter. Why? They cannot come from consciousness. Why? Take breathing. It can't come from somewhere else. It has to be preceded by its own type. Right? So you need to make sense of all of these based on all of this information that you have. So we haven't done any more verses. It's still the same verse, but you have all of this other additional information. Okay? Can you do that today?
Yes.
Then once this is clear, then we move forward and we keep incorporating indispensable and substantial cause. Yeah? Any issues, doubts, things you want to do? And please use many examples. The abundance of examples is beneficial. When you do a sprout, you know that a seed is it. Can you think of another example?
Well, Atisha, now.
Yeah.
So, a seed is an indispensable cause of a sprout.
I mean, it would seem.
It
Let's
is
go
a-
with yes. You're asking me, agree.
It is also the substantial cause of a sprout.
Except.
It follows, therefore, an indispensable cause does not have to be a direct cause.
Except.
Okay. Because in this one thing over here for indispensable cause, there is a thing about the
I don't think there was anything. We had come, you had somehow together, we had extrapolated that if it is there, it will always be followed, means that there cannot be a moment in between where there's an obstacle.
yeah.
That's something that you had derived as a conclusion. It's not in the text, at least, right? Because if it is there, the effect will always be there, seems to suggest that there's nothing that can intervene. That's what it seems to suggest.
So with breathing also, if you say breathing is always preceded by
Its own type.
by its own type. So the first moment of a person in this life,
Yeah, where were they breathing?
where were they?
They weren't breathing in the
so there
womb.
was this whole time lapse.
Exactly. So how is this even a correct sign?
That's what we first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
figure it out. What do you mean? That's the whole point.
And also that when you take the previous birth and if you
When a child is born, what is the indispensable cause of the bones?
of
The bones. Sperm and the ovum come together. Suddenly there's this whole body with all of these intricacies. When is it the indispensable cause? Of the bones, of the nerves, of the muscle, of the blood? Where? What? Andres is even more metaphysical. What is the indispensable cause of death is where he wants to take this. But the point is, this is all valid. So what is the substantial cause of it? What is the indispensable cause? That's what you're trying to make sense of. So please use all these examples.
But we don't even have to be that complicated. If you take a seed,
Yeah, be
turn it
simple.
into a tree, where's the wood in the seed? Or where is
So how is it an
each
indispensable
tree?
cause? How is it placing a mark then?
How is it placing a mark?
Unique mark, what is it?
Placing.
Unique placing agent. That tiny little seed and that gigantic tree with 1,000 oranges,
Yeah.
each orange, the seed is the unique placing agent for all of those oranges.
Right.
Is it?
Agreed.
It's a unique placing agent for those different oranges. You agree? Each orange is separate, right? It's different. They'll have different pips inside all of that.
Yeah.
That one seed is the unique placing agent of all these different things.
Agreed.
That one seed possesses all the qualities to, or all the causes to produce those different marks.
Agreed.
Yeah, why and agree. So you already have, that's the whole, it's really tricky. When you, there's rice growing outside. On each rice thing, there's I don't know, how many, 15, 20 grains of rice that grow on it. there was one sapling that was planted. Is that the unique placing agent for all of those different things over there? No? So what is the unique placing agent? What is the substantial cause?
Of what?
Of each one of those rice grains on it.
The part of the part of the seed that became those.
So then that sapling is the substantial cause of all of them?
Why?
Is the seed the substantial cause of all those different grains?
Why?
The seed is not the substantial cause of those individual grains? The seed is the cooperative condition of those individual grains?
Why?
It follows not the cause of those individual grains? Not a cause. Come. Hi. It follows it is a cause of those individual grains?
Why?
Because those individual grains are causally related to the seed.
Okay. Cooperative condition. Cooperative.
That's what you need to make sense of. He's saying cooperative condition. Okay? Try and figure it out. It's not easy. So now bring in all those indispensable and all those other ones, yeah? Do you want to, I think, let's do this today. Yeah? Because, actually, wait 1 sec. We have 5 more minutes. Do the next one also.
Yeah, this is to make sense of this itself.
You don't have a week, you have 1 day. Then tomorrow we have to go ahead. So, okay, let me just give you a breakdown of how this is going to go. 38, 39, 40, yeah? 41, 42, 43, 44. This will be one lump. Right? The subdivisions, you have it in Geshe-La's text. These are subdivisions. So we'll do them as one lump. We won't do them like we did them online. We'll do them as one chunk. Okay? Then we'll do with the 43 we won't really touch upon here. Then, yeah.
So 43A, B,
We'll look at that, but there's not so much debate on that. The ones that will,
42.
yeah. Then 49, 50, these are the ones that this is indispensable cause. And then from 51, 52, and then 53 onwards, we'll focus on these as singular arguments, like arguments that are contained within themselves, yeah? So then we can jump and move further. Because we'll bring in, like we did in Italy, we'll bring in indispensable cause and cooperate and substantial cause with each one of these arguments. Now, you have these the English walas you can debate with, so please debate with them and see what happens. I'm telling you, Paula and Henrik have done this already, so you can, done it in the sense, not they know it, they've debated this, so they're fresh, warm. Garam.
38 to 42 and 43.
Doesn't matter, I'll do this, I'm just telling you how we're going to divide it in chunks and move forward. Right now, just take your indispensable cause and substantial cause, those verses, and connect them with the verse that we've just done. Because what will happen is the next verses are, if it was only matter, then heat and moisture would lead to exactly the same thing. That is still substantial cause, indispensable cause. Because if the unique placing agent for sentient beings was only matter, then where there is the same matter, it has to place the same mark. Now this reasoning is valid when you've done little bit substantial causes and unique placing agent in a little bit more detail, right? But the idea is if the matter is exactly the same and you have two effects that are completely different, how can the same thing place two different marks if there's nothing that's adding to it, right? So that's what we'll do, okay? But that's one argument that flows very well, and so it's 4 or 5 verses that are all connected. So we won't sit there and obsess about them the way we did online, we'll run through them, yeah.
Where do I find color of unique placing agent?
This is on page 1. Geshe-Ma's text, do you have Geshe-Ma's text? Geshe-Ma's, yeah. Just pull it out, just find it now so that you have it later. And then Geshe-Ma has a long write-up about it as well. In Tibetan, it's Jogjegi Gyu Khebarchen. Jogjegi Gyu. Jog is to place. Remember like that handprint? Namsha. Namsha, have you heard that word? Khao Shakasha. Posit, right? We say Namshak is to posit. Shak, jog are different temporal tenses of the same verb, which is to posit. So Nampar Jogje means positing an aspect. Nampa is aspect, jog is to place or posit. So Jogje ki gyu is a cause that posits or places a mark. Yeah? Got it?
So here it says, she says, so a cause is described as the placing agent of a mark because it is that which generates its result. So it's a cause.
Please now, I want you to just debate what it says. You have the material. Yeah.
This is continuum of sign.
There's no definition. There's no definition.
But he's given it a
The definition of two things being the same type is there.
But so Sprat is a continuation of.
What time is lunch? 11:30, no? ठीक है,
Very
okay.
good.
Yeah. I'll keep you a little bit more. Huh.
So Spratism is a continuum of that type.
This we don't know. I actually don't know.
But even meaning-wise, if you were to
The meaning of same type is that I've said this you should know. Two things that when they're observed without having to think about it or effortlessly, you can subsume them under one category or one class. Then they are of the same type.
So then Sprat and Seed are both you put in the category of vegetation plants.
Then everything will be of the same type. Then the debate goes there. Then everything will be same type. Right? Right? Hot and cold will also be the same type because they're both sensations. That's why if you take type, so this I think I've told you also. This is the debate that I did when I went to the monastery and they destroyed me because it's the and then I thought I was terrible. Now I can console myself because when I go back down to the monastery, the Lharampas are still getting charred because of this debate because no one knows how to navigate it very well. It's not an easy thing to navigate when you say two things are of the same type. There is a way to navigate it now. And you have to try and make sense of it. It has a lot to do with how you're thinking about it. I think I've already said this, haven't we? When you talk of a thing, when you verbalize it, or when you imagine it, you envision it, it'll have millions of qualities. That's why it has hundreds of isolates that all reside on that base, right? When you are analyzing the causality of it, you have to choose what causality you're looking for. Because if I say plastic, if I say rubber ball, someone might be concerned with what led it to be round. Someone might be concerned with what led it to be white. If it has those hexagons like the older footballs do, you're concerned about what led to the hexagon. Someone might be concerned about what led to the rubber. So it depends very much on how you are envisioning the thing and then the causality that you're seeking for it. Right? That's how it's going to work. So when you say respiration, are you talking about the physical air? Are you talking about the action? What are you talking about? When you're talking about a sprout, what exactly are you talking about? Are you talking about the wetness of the sprout? Are you talking about the color of the sprout? Are you talking about the sprout per se? All of those things matter because when you're looking at causality and the placing agent, you're talking about a very specific nature. That's why it says between the essential nature and the circumstantial nature, right? So you have to identify these and based on that then you debate. So when you say sprout and seed are the same type, it doesn't sound right. But when you say, like he was saying, eye consciousness and mental consciousness are the same type, Andres must have been thinking you're specifying consciousness, so they're the same type. So your discussion will depend on how you're imagining and positing your subjects. That you need to figure out when you're debating it. Because that is what you will also be checking later. Because when you will say the substantial cause for anger, you will not say wisdom is the substantial cause of anger. You don't feel like saying it. But if you have understood emptiness, hypothetically, and then you forget about it, and then you get really irritated with the person who came and knocked at your door, that they interrupted your meditation, is your earlier meditation becoming the anger later or not? Is it the substantial cause or not? Not. So then what is the substantial cause of your anger?
Ignorance.
But so then you had the wisdom, then later you stepped out, there was ignorance, and then it transformed into anger. So what's the substantial cause of ignorance?
Previous moment.
The previous moment was when you were sitting in equipoise.
No, but it doesn't have to be a direct previous moment.
But what was the direct substantial cause?
Could that really?
That's what I'm trying to say. You have to make sense of this stuff.
No, but it can't be a substantial.
You please go outside and debate later. Now this is, you all have to figure this out.
Atishala, it doesn't work outside.
I don't know, I am done. Your time is up. Duja, please figure this out. You want to come ahead? Are you rested?
No.
You think you can do it?
I'm fine.
Okay, good.
Okay, I'm glad.
Come.